All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is the ninth and the second to last webinar in the webinar series leading up to Digital Signage Expo 2018. I am Jason Kushner, the editor of DigitalSignageConnection.com, and again, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar, which is entitled Enhancing the Stadium and Entertainment Venue Experience with Digital Signage. This is in partnership with AmericanAirlines Arena. And before I hand it over to our presenters and moderators today, just a few quick housekeeping notes. As usual, please post any questions you have for our presenters in the chat bar on the left of your screen, and we'll get to as many as we can before the day is out. Also, if you come in late or would like to share this content with a colleague, we will have an entire recording of today's webinar hosted and available on DigitalSignageConnection.com within 1 to 2 business days. That being said, I'd like to introduce our moderator, who is Kim Stone. She is the Executive Vice President and General Manager for American Airlines Arena and the Miami Heat. And she's a veteran of the dynamic South Florida sports market for more than 2 decades now. Her experience spans almost every functional area of a professional sports team. She's been an integral part of building the success of the Miami Heat and American Airlines Arena by developing and implementing sound business strategies and management practices. Promoted to her current position of Executive VP and General Manager in 2006, Kim is now responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations of the award-winning arena. That said, thank you for everyone for being here, and I'll hand it over to Kim. Kim?
Thank you so much, Jason, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today online. I'm very excited to introduce to you 2 of our great speakers that we have who will be out in Vegas with you all at the end of March. First, we have Jim Riley. He's the Director of Marketing for the Columbus Blue Jackets of the NHL. He oversees all aspects of the organization's marketing efforts, including advertising, branding, ticket promotion, signage, community events, and creative services. Riley joined the Blue Jackets organization during the 2007-08 season as marketing manager for nationwide arena events and the Columbus Destroyers of the Arena Football League. He was promoted to Director of Marketing in 2013 and is a native of East Central Ohio, where he graduated from Ohio Northern University in 1999 with a bachelor's degree in business management and sports management. So we're honored to have Jim joining us today. In addition, we have Rod Ward. He is the Senior Director of Venue Technology at International Speedway Corporation, a position he has held since 2013. In this role, he manages technology for the company's portfolio of NASCAR racetracks. Prior to this position, he served as the Technology Project Manager for Daytona Rising, the $400 million reimagining of Daytona International Speedway, which I've had the honor of seeing and is quite spectacular. Before joining ISC, Ward had more than 20 years of experience in technology, project management in retail, government, telecommunication, broadcast, and entertainment. He's also held roles at AirScan, American Eagle Outfitters, Crown Castle, WinTech, Open Network Technologies, Aerial, and GTE MobileNet. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, attendees. And let's just jump in the deep end and get started with a question for both of the panelists. Let's start with, what are the most common applications of digital signage used in entertainment venue experience? Jim, Rod, take it away.
Go ahead, Rod.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to throw a little slide up here so we can kind of have some talking points on what are the most common applications of digital signage used in an entertainment venue. So from my past experience with deploying digital signage, these are the things that I have noted here: menu boards, wayfinding, advertising, messaging and scheduling, social media integration, emergency notifications, and fan engagement. So I think these are some common things. I'm sure there's some other instances where we would have a different application, but these are the most common applications that I've experienced. How about you, Jim?
Yes, from our end, with the in-arena, all of our hockey games are played at Nationwide Arena, which seats over 18,000 for hockey, concerts, special events. And in terms of those applications, the primary focus for us is to entertain. So it's keeping that in mind. It's geared towards the promotions and entertainment aspect, along with marketing, and then our team partners. So all of that can be found, whether it's in arena or on the concourse, in the different digital signage applications, most of which you mentioned there with the advertising and wayfinding. So really, this question too, Kim, I took a step further in terms of the design aspect, and not only identifying those common applications, but for us in arena, our designers spend a lot of time in Adobe After Effects and Cinema 4D. So combining those programs to really enhance whatever is running at the time on our different boards in arena.
Got it. Thank you, guys. And so thank you for mentioning, Jim, some of the software you use. Rod, what do you use the same at your venue? Adobe After Effects?
We use a number of different software packages, Click Effects. We also use some specialized digital signage packages also, which are triple play, and some Cisco Stadium Vision, where I have 12 facilities, so I have a different flavor of digital signage at each facility. So it's a lot of different software packages that we have. So we are not standardized within any one specific software package.
Got it. Thank you. You're outdoor, Rod, and Jim, you're indoor, and I know that probably creates different atmospheres and opportunities as well. What are I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but what are some of the challenges for an outdoor digital signage technologies? And then maybe, Jim, if you could talk about any challenges for indoor.
Sure. I mean, outdoor, all of our facilities are outdoor, so you just have to take into account the environmental factors. So we have a lot of, for our TV sets, our displays that are throughout the facilities, we have to make sure they're weatherproof, waterproof, or have cases around them. They're sunlight readable, those type of things. And the outdoor screens, the big LED boards for our fans to view while they're in the seats, those also have to be an outdoor product. So it adds cost and adds more maintenance. So we do a lot of rental positioning of our big LED boards. So we'll bring them in before our big events, and same screens they would do at concerts, outdoor concerts, things like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rod. Jim, what about you all indoor? A little more climate control, but I'm sure there are challenges with indoor.
Yeah, I would say from my perspective, Kim, one of the largest challenges is in terms of the actual creative that goes up on the boards. So with our, if you don't mind me toggling through here to show you just what our in-arena scoreboard looks like, and then we'll go back.
Yeah.
I think. Hold on a second. Actually, I don't see it here. My apologies. It's not coming up as one of those slides. But from the in-arena perspective, Kim, it's the challenge on the creative side is from time to time we've produced things with a white background, and they just don't show up as well with the system that we have in arena. So a lot of our focus, you don't want to blind people, and you want the message to be visible. So a lot of it has a darker background to it. Even if it's a little bit different than our public marketing campaign, we have to have a version for in arena that is great and easy to read for the attendees, for our fan base to see. So if that makes sense, it's certainly from the creative side would be one of our challenges. And then the other challenge is just timing. being able to have that consistent message. The slides aren't popping up. Hopefully they will through the course of our presentation here. But between our ribbon board, our main scoreboard, and some of our ancillary boards, we can do what's called a takeover. So whether it's a promotion or whether it's a partner activation, you're seeing that same consistent message across all of our applications in Arena.
Jim, I switched over to your slides if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Toggle through.
Sure, I can. So there's a brief look at our main scoreboard and what we can do from a partner activation standpoint. You see the different rings that go around it, along with the ribbon board in the background. We also have a unique situation for our arena. We have what are called 2 party towers. They're multi-level suites, if you will, for every home game. But with those boxes, we have different levels of digital signage that we can use for display, for video, for animations. In this particular example, it just shows the consistency with Cintas using the example on how that might look in Arena.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rod. So jumping back to another question, what are the benefits that you all and your company see in using the digital signage in an entertainment venue? We talked about sort of the common applications, and Rod, Jim, I think you're showing us sort of the benefits of a takeover of the signage within. You get that moment where all eyes are fixed on the signage. But what are some additional benefits that maybe we haven't talked about that you all have realized with through your departments and your companies?
Jim, you want to take this first?
You can go ahead, Rod.
Okay, I think I had a slide on this. If we could go back to my slideshow. Was this a question you asked, Kim? I'm sorry.
No, that is. Thanks, Rod.
Okay. Of course, you mentioned that a captive audience. We have a captive audience, so we can show a lot of things, and we have eyes. We offer fan engagement with our partners. So this is an opportunity to get our partners in front of the fans. I think this is great for all of our partners to offer something to present to a captive audience at our venues. And then we do a lot of fan loyalty and promote the excitement for the event. So we gear our messaging around that. So we get people pumped up before the race starts, before the concert, before the game, whatever we have at our facilities. We do a lot of wayfinding. So pre-event, after the event, we let everybody know where the nearest exit is, things like that. We do a lot of that when you're coming up the escalators. You see where to the suite level, you see where your suite is, who's in what suite. And then if we have some kind of emergency at the facility, weather related, something else, we can take over all of our digital signage to do an emergency notification. Please exit the stadium, in an orderly fashion, whatever. Even after event, thanks for coming. We hope you had a good time. That kind of digital signage is great also. So these are the benefits of having it in your venue. I think there's a lot of other useful ways you can use digital signage, but this is a good start here.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Jim, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say from the in-arena aspect, our goals very similar to what Rod mentioned, but it's attention grabbing, creating bright, loud, fun messages that with the advantage of digital signage as you go through the course of a game or an event is the ability to change those messages. So depending on how the game's going or what message you want to get across, utilizing the technology that's available just basically by the minute, being able to change whatever it is that we're wanting to engage the fans with. And, when you're talking live sporting events, whether it's racing, whether it's hockey, basketball, football, whatever it is, you're dealing with sports and entertainment. So you're trying to evoke emotion and enhance the entertainment value. And we find that in conjunction with everything else that we have going on, digital signage is the best way to do that. Think of it as, in the old days when all you had was just a PA announcement. And now with the different elements that we have and the resources that we have, whether it's in arena or at a different outdoor venue, combining that message with the digital signage really just brings it to life.
Thank you both. And I'll add a little bit of experience that I have here at American Airlines Arena that's in addition to all these great points that both of you have made, which is in our building we have an entrance that, because we are in Florida and there's limestone underneath us, we have to bring our fans into our building and then bring them up to the main concourse. So they created sort of an entrance that was less than appealing, and we have taken digital signage and we actually sold it to a sponsor, and we now call it the Bacardi Grand Entrance. And because we have digital signage and we have different types of events here, we change the digital signage every event to convey images for the event that people are coming to. So we took basically a plain, drab-looking entrance, and with the digital signage alone, created a much more dynamic, very much what Jim said, a dynamic feel and emotion, and we get you excited about coming to that event. So that was just an example where we used it to take something that was drab and boring, made it nice, and we're able to bundle it into a corporate sponsorship with Bacardi here locally. So good examples, gentlemen. Jumping to the next question we have, how does digital signage help create fan engagement? Rod, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I have some bullet points here on the slide. Provides medium to engage fan with useful information. So I think this is the biggest one is it allows us to further engage the fan. Like Jim said, we don't have to just rely on PA and things like that. Now we have another medium that's eyes and ears. We can do video, we can do graphics, sound, whatever we want through the digital signage. So this gives us another way to engage everyone. It provides a conduit for our partners to reach the fan base, of course, and then it just enhances the overall excitement. I think we're preaching this throughout this webinar that bringing excitement to the entertainment we're hosting is the most important thing. Hey, Jim?
Yes.
Jim, you want to take a stab at answering how you all use digital signage to create that fan engagement?
Oh, sure. And if it's possible, I can show another example with the slides that I put together. But, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously promotions, in-arena promotions, and getting people excited. And some of that doesn't happen right away. Some of it happens over time in consistency. And so as we flip through here, one of the things that we do on the promotion side is every home game that we have, if the team scores 3 or more goals, we have what's called the Chili Chant, and it's sponsored by a local restaurant chain called Roosters. And this is one of those things that took a little while to catch on, but as soon as the team scores 3 goals now, it doesn't necessarily matter when in the game that happens. The crowd gets excited and gets engaged, and we use our digital signage resources to really hammer it home and just magnify what we're trying to accomplish with the overall experience. So not only is there music that goes along with it, everything that we have from an LED perspective switches to that consistent promotion. So whether it's the Chili Chant, which is that example here, some other things that we do is after the team scores a goal, we fire off a cannon, and we utilize the digital boards to showcase that with some smoke and an animated cannonball that moves around the arena. So promotions are a big point for us. And the 2 other things I wanted to bring up as far as engaging the crowd and involving them is we have a board that's devoted to social media. And so you can tweet the screen. We have obviously that monitors that, but it gives our fans a chance to participate in the game and express their fandom or be recognized in arena. And we do that on a regular game basis. And then the other thing is one of our goals on the marketing side, obviously, is to collect as much relevant data as we can on our fans. And we can do this through enter to win promotions. So much like the Chili Chant or when we score a goal, we'll do enter to win promotions from time to time and utilize those same digital signage resources. So it can really enhance your overall marketing resources and goals.
So Jim, we had an attendee ask a question. I want to just a little bit follow up because you're right in answering her question, which is, how do you access the ROI for the fan experience in addition to the sponsor revenue it brings? Your example of capturing the data is a good one. Do you have more that you all do when you're considering how to get an ROI on the fan experience from your digital boards?
Yeah, I would think data capture is first and foremost, as we've mentioned, surveying that we're doing, whether that's through season ticket holders or our single game buyers, and just getting their overall feedback on the presentation, the journey. Think of it as a fan's journey through the arena as they walk in, and what's memorable to them and what did they like the most. And I think, we've taken that side of the research segment very serious and their feedback and have been able to elevate our games, so to speak, and create this entertainment environment. I think, it's one thing to say you've got X amount of sponsors. It's another thing in how you present that sponsorship in your game, in your event, in your race. You want to make sure that you do it in a fun and creative way so people aren't just turned off by another ad. And that takes time and consideration. And when you roll it out, it's nice to know that you've got the resources right there from a scoreboard, from a display point of view.
Got it. Rod, anything from your experience at racetracks about getting an ROI out of that?
No, Jim hit it on the head there. Of course, data is very important, any kind of data we could get, and then surveys, we do the same thing. So we survey our fans, our partners at every event, at every track, and see what works, what doesn't.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All right, jumping to the next question. What is the most important thing an event venue facility manager should consider when operating a digital signage network? Jim, we're on your presentation. Do you want to take this one first?
Sure, I can address that question, Kim. And there's just going back a minute, if you don't mind. There's the example of our social media ribbon board that we utilize above one of the ends there in arena, and then. As I just wanted to be able to showcase to the group some of the different signage areas that we have in arena. But in terms of the enhancing the guest experience, I like to think of it, and I mentioned this in my last answer, but I like to think of it as a fan journey, and would like to expand on that just a little bit. When we consider when a fan walks in the door to our arena, what are some of the impacts? What are some of the touch points that we can have an impact on their overall experience? And as they're coming in and seeing the different digital signage as it relates to this discussion, utilizing the boards to profile team and player stats, that night's promotion or theme. For example, coming up and relevant in March, we have a St. Patrick's Day theme. In the past, we've had a Hockey Fights Cancer night or a military appreciation night. And our digital signage really helps to drive home that theme. So whether it's all of our boards and logos and videos having that lavender logo for Hockey Fights Cancer or having a military appreciation look to it, we want to make sure that it's that consistent feel for the fan as they're going through the game and through the event. Concession stands. We have digital signage at concession stands that we can change out. And I know Rod showed some of the examples of what they have in their venues. And then for us, as I've mentioned, it's but to hit it home, it's really developing those consistent messages across all the platforms and boards that we have so that the fan is really encompassed by what we're trying to portray. And, even through some of these surveys that we've done, so that leaves a positive impact on them. So take the result of the game out of it. If people can come out and have a great time and be wowed by the overall experience, that's really what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you, Rod. Jim? Jim. Thank you. Rod, should we jump over to your presentation to let you answer this one on the what is important to consider when operating?
Okay, so like Jim said, consistency is a big portion of it, but for us, we have limited staff, we have a lot of facilities, so the ease of scheduling, the run of show for the day is very important. We want to make sure that's in the system, it's ready to go, scheduled, so they can just kick it off when our events day starts. We try to integrate our digital signage with our mobile app and any social media we have at the facility. So we make sure that that's integrated and we're monitoring that. This helps the operator out too. If we have something coming across social media negative or something else, we can change our digital signage at the time. We are always looking for a reliable, proven reliable system and its ease of setup and control. So as a facility, if you have 1,500 displays throughout the facility, you want to know if you have some outages. So you want to be able to monitor that and be able to know when you have an outage to take care of.
Wonderful, thank you. And how many people do you, Rod and Jim, how many people do you think it takes to effectively and efficiently operate such a network for an event venue?
Well, for us, this is Jim. On the staffing side of it, our overall production staff on a game day is around approximately 12 employees, but specifically devoted to the LED boards and operating them as 2 people devoted to those. And then we would have another person from our digital marketing team devoted to the social media board that we have.
Yeah, Kim, we have a similar staff also for each of our events, our main events, and then we'll have a reduction in staff for smaller events. So if it's a main NASCAR Cup race, something like that, we'll have a pretty healthy staff doing, because we do all of our in-house productions of our channel or of our NASCAR race coverage. So we use all the camera feeds. So we have a big production crew for that we show on all of our digital signage. And then we have our social media, our LED board operators, and then we have some various other directors and producers also.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. And thank you. We've had a pretty robust chat going with attendees on the questions here, so I'm going to get to those next, and thank you all for participating. We'll try to get through as many as possible in the time we have left. So one of the first ones is about the app. Rod, I think you may have mentioned that you've got an app and is it connected to your digital signage? Is there an integration there between the app and your digital signage?
Yeah, so we do have at some of our facilities, we have a connected app that will allow you through a rewards program interact with some of the digital signage, allow you to take your pictures and throw it up on the big board, things like that. We have some of that integration. We're looking to further integrate that some of our apps at our Phoenix Raceway. Or IACM Raceway now, I'm sorry. We're looking to do some more integration and more with the digital signage in our garages and allow some, put your driver stats up there through the app. So we do some of that now. We're looking to expand that.
Wonderful. And Jim, do you all have a team app or a venue app? And if so, is it integrated with your digital signage?
We have both. We have a team app and a venue app, but neither one of those is integrated directly with our digital signage. In terms of the interaction for the fans, that would be more on the social media side of things, where I mentioned earlier, they can tweet the screen, but then we can also profile different messages from Facebook and things like that.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. So jumping over to content, we've had a couple of questions in that area. So here's the first one. On average, what % of the content is advertisements? Jim or Rod, who wants to take this question first? What % of content is advertisements?
Go ahead,
Go
Rod.
ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rod. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. We try to balance that out. I mean, there is an ROI, of course, in advertising, and you want to, help pay for or make money off of the digital signage or digital assets you have. So there's kind of we look at about a 40% of advertising versus content that we run on our signage, but it's not like that everywhere. So there's specific areas where we won't have any advertising, and there'll be specific areas where we show a lot more. So it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I'll use menu boards, for instance. So in a menu board, you may have an enticement loop that shows up, but then the normal menu will show up with just maybe a header or a footer showing an advertisement.
Got it. Thank you,
Go ahead,
Rod.
Jim.
Yeah, so from our perspective, it's very similar to what Rod mentioned. It just depends on the different areas. For our LED ribbon board, each department internally has about a minute that we can profile whatever we want to do from the marketing side. So if it's a particular ticket package or an upcoming game or an enter to win promotion, something like that, we can utilize that time. The rest of the time on the ribbon board is dedicated to that. You'll see different advertisers up there during our game, but that's just one particular area. The other promotions that happen, whether that's in between each period during the intermissions or at a whistle or during a timeout, for us, we want to take that sponsorship, but like I mentioned earlier, really engage that sponsor in some sort of promotion that's fun for the fans to watch or participate in. So it's not just, oh, here's a sign or here's an animation by whatever company. It's taking it a step further and making it could be a t-shirt toss. It could be with our, we call it the Gatling gun cannon that shoots t-shirts into the crowd. It could be any number of different promotions that we have through the course of the game that are intertwined with that partner's message.
Got it. Thank you. Another good question here regarding content. Is there any thought from a design perspective on integrating the digital signage into the venue more than just hanging a TV on the wall? So I can jump in real quick. And just here at American Airlines Arena, we actually have a bit of a philosophy as it relates to our digital signage. And Ron and Jim, definitely want you to answer the attendees' question. But in our building, we have certain signage that is only dedicated to wayfinding. It does not rotate with corporate sponsors or in-game messages or anything. So for us, the wayfinding remains wayfinding only. Menu boards will be dedicated to food and beverage. We will run a center screen that is some advertising and some game action. The inner bowl is all dedicated to game entertainment and sponsors. So we do have some sort of structure as it relates to where the sign is and what the purpose of the sign is, which then drives the decision on content. So that's here at the arena. For you gentlemen, back to the question, again, it's from a design perspective on integrating the digital signage into the venue more than just hanging a TV on the wall. Rod, do you have some thoughts on that? And then we'll go to Jim.
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually bringing a slide up here to kind of help orchestrate that question. So if you see this slide up here, this is one of our concessions, and how we integrated some of our displays. And you can see the display in the middle there is actual menu board, but it looks like a chalkboard. So we made it a roadhouse feel, and it stays up like that all the time during the event. So that's some of the things we would do. We would also look at some of our, we have, as you walk up the stairs in our center staircase at Daytona, we have 2 digital signs that just say, "Welcome to Daytona International Speedway." So that's all they say, and that's all they'll say. We won't rotate any ads or anything else to them. So there's some things like that we do. So like I said before, we don't advertise on everything and like you brought up, Kim, wayfinding, of course, we try not to do anything on a dedicated wayfinding sign.
Kim, how about you all?
Very similar, Kim, to your setup in terms of menu boards at every concession stand, just like Rod mentioned, and we don't do anything else on the menu boards currently. We do have plenty of monitors throughout the concourse that show game action or flip back and forth between different promotions, but as far as advertising or straight signs, we don't have any digital monitors that are strictly devoted to advertising. We don't conflict with wayfinding. Most of our advertising that you see would happen in arena, in bowl.
Got it. We just had another good question asked about content. What about using content and with different languages? So here in Miami, we have a very heavy Hispanic population, so that there are times that we will flip over to a little mix of English and Spanish on some of our signage. Do you see that maybe, in Columbus, do you see that? And or, Rod, across all your tracks, which are in very different cities around the country, do you see the need for, multiple languages?
In Columbus, we have not gone beyond English. So in terms of our messages or signage yet.
Got it. Rod, how about you? Anywhere, any of your tracks around the country and world, actually?
Yeah, we do. We have specific. I'm in Phoenix right now. We're getting ready to have our race here at IACM Raceway, which has a big Hispanic market. So we do a lot of Spanish conversion out here on our signage. Daytona, when we have a international race, we'll maybe put something up also in some other languages. So we try to do that. There's not a lot of markets where we do it, though.
Understood. Yeah, it's sort of market specific, it seems, based on your demographics. Okay, good question here from someone that works for a smaller venue. It says, I work for a smaller venue that does not have a graphic designer on staff. Do you know of any software programs that offer flexible / user-friendly design options for someone that is not a designer? She said, this person says they have to often outsource, but they would take it in-house if there was an intuitive program out there. Do you have any great programs you work with that for a small venue could consider looking into?
I know from our designers with the Blue Jackets, Adobe After Effects is something that I mentioned earlier, and that is also a program that I think you can take some online classes with and become familiar. It's fairly easy to use. Beyond that, depending on your applications, they still do a lot of things in Photoshop as well, which is pretty user friendly for probably smaller companies or from a budget standpoint to use. But again, that just depends on what the application, what you're trying to accomplish with the different programs that you're using.
Got it. Rod, any that you've come across that you would recommend for this scenario? Smaller venue, not a large staff?
Yes. I don't. I mean, there's so many programs there's so many applications out there. It depends on the application, on what you're trying to show digital signage. I mean, it could be as simple as a PowerPoint presentation you can throw up. If it's not very graphic intensive, and still get your message across. I'm not sure what the application would be.
Understood. And we did have someone on the chat board did recommend a few options. There's a video. Have any of you heard of either of you heard of graphicriver.com or videohive.net or envatoelements.com?
I've heard of Video Hive.
Okay. So for the attendee who asked that question, there are a couple of options there perhaps that they can explore. Okay, let's see, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's shift away from content and a little more back to ROI. We always have to justify our expenses. So as it relates to digital signage, how are you monetizing the videos that are outside of the bowl? So on your main concourses or perhaps in the other areas. Again, here at American Airlines Arena, I think the good thing for us is the guests do spend most of their time in the bowl, but we do have a lot of circulation on our main concourses. So we sort of tie in the sponsors' content being on our main concourse video boards as much as they are in the bowl. There's value there as well. We actually have what's called an L bar on our TVs that show a heat game, for example. There's an L bar, and that L bar is advertising, and it stays on the entire game. So that's something that we do here. Jim or Rod, do you all have any other examples of getting an ROI from digital signage that is not in your main areas? Like your focus where your product is, like for Jim, you in the bowl, and for Rod, you where the track is?
Yeah, so I mean, I know the similar. We run on our concourses. We run an L bracket during the live event where we will show some advertising with whatever the event is showing on the TVs also. But we try to because we have a little trade show before you come in the stadium in our midway, and we do some digital signage out there to bring the fans in. We do some advertising on the outside of our stadium on some digital signage. We have targeted partners with targeted advertising based on demographics. A partner of ours that will actually, depending on who walks up in front of the screen, they will change the advertising to meet what demographic they are. So we try a bunch of things. Of course, ROI is big. So anytime you can make that investment and get your money back or make a little money, it's great. So we try to do some kind of creative things to make sure that we are getting our money back.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Jim, anything to add? Okay. Well, we've got about time for one more question, so let's end on a solid one here from another person that contributed. And thank you again to all the attendees. The questions have been great. I apologize we don't have enough time to get to all of them, which is just more the reason you have to go to DSE at the end of this month. You can ask these Jim and Rod in person when you see them out there in Vegas. So let's end with this one, Jim and Rod. The question is, with a venue that has zero digital signage dollars, if you had to prioritize using some limited funds, what would you recommend be the top two digital signage pieces that you would install in an arena, in a performing arts venue, and a multi-function space? So if you had limited dollars, you could put something, you had to prioritize. What would be your top two digital signage installations in an arena, a performing arts venue, and a multi-function space? Jim, you want to take that one first? Did we lose Jim? We may have lost him. Rod, are you still with us?
I am. I'm still here. Yeah, let me jump in. I think that's a really hard one. I think it depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, of course, adding some digital elements to your concessions will help drive concession sales. If you show a frosty Coke up there, you'll sell more Coke. I mean, that's been proven. So if you could do that, that would help increase your concession sales. The other good thing is wayfinding. I think wayfinding is important if you have a bigger venue, or at least announcing, whose event it is. Maybe the event sponsored, so you can put some of that on the digital signage. And then for a mixed-use space, so this one is also, I think, good. Like we host a number of conferences and things like that at some of our facilities, and it's always nice to be able to announce what their schedule for the different rooms that they're taking.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I'll try one more time. I think we lost Jim, but I want to give him one more time in case he was able to connect. Jim, you want to take that one if you're there? Okay, looks like we did lose him. Well, Rod, thank you. I will thank Jim offline. And Jason, thank you. Would like to say I hope to see everybody out at DSE in Las Vegas, the end of March, the 27th to the 30th. And again, we can continue this conversation there. And in the meantime, I just want to thank you. And Rod, thank you very much for participating, and see you in Vegas.
Thanks,
all right,
Tim. See you there.
I'll direct those thank yous back at you guys for participating today and presenting. And like she said, we'll see you at the end of March in Vegas. Also, we have one more webinar between that time and now, which will be on the 13th at 2 p.m., and we'll be discussing some specific presentations going on at DSE 2018. So hope to see you guys coming back for that, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.